Hello my friends and welcome to my almost finished coffee and for another mixed media crafting video. I love Christmas crafting, decorating etc. but this year I have been extra into snow globes so much that I treated myself to several different snow globe dies, and in this video we will explore the Whimsy Stamps snow globe die, and I hope to give any other snow globe enthusiast some inspiration that you can use with any snow globe shape you happen to have. I will also use the Christmas greenery dies from Whimsy along with a whole bunch of Christmas stamp sets. I will make 3 full projects and a bonus project in the same color combos and the same snow globe die, but with different images and in different shapes. So let's get going. The first thing I do is to cut that snow globe shape from metallic cardstock. I ended up going with gold this time, but the silver is beautiful as well. I use my die cutting machine and I also cut out that ornament hanger from gold cardstock. I am trying out Lawn Fawn's wood grain cardstock and I love the detailed wood grains and the weight of this cardstock, and I die cut the globe base from it. Next I have this Poisonetta stamp set and I stamp many of the flowers, holly and berries on watercolor cardstock with a waterproof ink, and I intend to use my Karin Brush Marker Pros to color them in. I used a few different color combinations on my Poisonettas here in purple shades, but I ended up choosing the pinky red combination on all my projects. As per usual, I start with my darkest shade of pinky red and map out my shadows where one petal is shading another or where they meet. Then I extend my shadows with my medium shades and extend them out with my lightest before I use water to blend that lightest color out to be my highlight. From here on I switched out water for a colorless blender just because it's less work, and here you can see the different color combos I tried out. The blue and purple Poisonettas I save for a later project. For all my berries I used that pinky red combo. I used a yellow green combo for the Poisonetta leaves, but for these leaves I switched to a blue green combination just to make the different leaves stand out from each other. I have said this before, but the Karin markers are water-based and have a quick flow of color. If you want more control, you might want to scribble them onto a palette and pick up color with a brush, but sometimes I really enjoy the quick and intuitive coloring these give me. I use the same colors on this twig of leaves and berries. Here is a sample of all my greenery coloring, but I did color a whole heap of each image. Next I color this adorable gnome with his little Christmas tree. I used the same technique as before and the same pinky red for his outfit. I used 3 shades of warm grays for his beard, and I did color a couple of this gnome, and the second time I colored his outfit in an aqua teal combination, and you will see that I alternate between the pinky red and the aqua teal combinations for all my images. For his nose and face I use a couple of pink and skin colored markers, and then I use brown and green for his tree and a gold Gansai Tambi watercolor for the star at the top. For the Christmas dragons I just love that there exists Christmas dragons for me to color, but I used the pinky red for his hat, spikes and wings, and that aqua teal combo for his body. I did the same with the Christmas dragons as before, where I also color him in pinky reds with aqua teal for the details. I could not keep all the coloring in, I just kept a few examples because I colored so many images, sticking to those two color combos. I also used the warm greys for his horns and cool grey for the snow. Here I have die cut the background for my snow globe from thick watercolor cardstock, and I bring out a Whimsy stamp set with snowflakes. I place the snowflakes in my stamping platform and stamp in Versamark embossing ink and cover the snowflakes with Wow's clear superfine embossing powder, trapping the white under my embossing when I melt the powder with my heat tool. I am making 3 of the same background, but the second time I used gold embossing powder, and for the third background I used clear sparkle embossing powder just to get variation. So now I have my 3 backgrounds, and I bring out a Whimsy stamp I got on second hand. That's why a couple of postage stamps are missing. In fact, at least 50% of what I use I usually bought on second hand. And I stamp all those postage stamps and heat emboss them with gold. Next, I have chosen a bunch of Nuvo shimmer powders, and I ended up using Violet Brocade, Blue Blitz, Atlantis Burst and Dark Blue from Cosmic Shimmer. I add a little of each color to my postage stamps and add water to activate the colors and shimmer. Then I will move on to my backgrounds, add powder randomly and activate with water. You only need a smidge of each color, and sometimes I add a little more powder and water and tilt the cardstock to blend the colors. Then I let them air dry and buff off any color left on my snowflakes. Next, we're working on my globe bases that I die cut from that wood grain cardstock. I blend over the whole base with vintage photo ink, and I go around the edges with ground espresso distress ink. Then I add water droplets and pick up color with a paper towel to make them look more worn. Off camera, I die cut a bunch of the Christmas greenery from smooth watercolor cardstock, and to make it easier to ink blend on them, I bring out my jelly plate. I don't have a sticky mat for this purpose yet, but this works okay to avoid tearing my delicate die cuts when I ink blend. For the more round leaves, I blended cracked pistachio first, and then I go in with a smaller brush and add the darker pine needle to the base of the leaves and the stem. For the more flaky leaves I used Twisted Citron and Rustic Wilderness, all distress inks, and I blended the lighter first and add the darker to the base and stem. The last thing I do for the leaves is to darken the shadows I blended with a smidge of onyx black ink, and for the berries I used Festive Berries and H Mahogany Distress inks. I want the greenery to stick out from some projects and look okay from the backside, so I die cut the same greenery in black and glue the colored die cuts onto the black base just to make my life harder. Two of my projects will be cards, so I wanted a background and I took Christmas sentiment stamps from all my stamp sets and placed them on a card panel. I will change my mind and this background will be my bonus project, but for now I stamp all those Christmas words and heat emboss them in gold. So I did change my mind and I wanted a craft background, and since my Christmas sentiments were in place, it was easy to stamp and heat emboss them in gold on a craft panel. I did treat my craft panel with a coat of clear gesso because heat embossing on craft can go wrong and eat the embossing, since the craft panel is untreated and the heat embossing can sink into the craft cardstock. I tape down my panel because I want a thin craft frame and bring out Distress Oxide inks in Chipped Sapphire, Blueprint Sketch and Salty Ocean, and at the end I will add some black soot. I ink blend starting with my darkest blue to my lightest blue and finish with black. I chose Oxide inks because they are more opaque than dye inks and work well on craft, and I go back and forth between my colors for a smooth blend. I bring out a spray bottle with shimmering perfect pearl powder mixed in with water and add many water droplets and pick up color with a paper towel and get these shimmering bleached droplets. Next, I use my heat tool to warm the glue on the tape so I can take it off without tearing my cardstock, and finally I use a paper towel to buff off ink on my gold words. I have this gilded foundry wax and I put some on my glass mat and smear it on the edges of my panel with my finger, and I need to heat that wax, otherwise it won't stick and turn into gilded dust. So, let's put the snow globes together. I have them cut out from gold cardstock, but I also cut 2 layers of foam for each globe, and I glue the foam globes together off camera, so I get a frame so I can turn my globes into shakers. I also have my backgrounds, and I glue those 2 layers of foam on to each background. Next, I glue an acetate window on the back side of my gold snow globes. I die cut the base from brown foam to give it dimension and glue the wood grain base on to the foam base. Then I glue the popped up base on to my gold globes. I glued 2 gold ornament hangers together and glued them onto the backside of my gold globe windows, so when I put it all together, the hangers will be sandwiched between my layers. Let's put the globes to the side for a minute and work on a sentiment. I have a whimsy die saying Christmas, and I die cut many Christmas from black cardstock and 3 from gold cardstock. I stack 4 of each black die cut on each other with glue before I glue the gold word on top of all the black die cuts. My card panel is dry and I cut a piece of brown foam to fit under my panel. Then I die cut the globe shape out from my card panel and from the foam panel. I glue a piece of acetate on the back of my card panel, and on the back of the acetate I glue the foam, sandwiching the clear acetate between the 2 panels and lining up the globe cutouts. Before I put this card together, I want to line up the globe background on my card base so everything works. So I put repositionable tape on the back of the globe background, hold it in place inside the cutout on the front panel and press down on my black card base. When I know where it should be to line up, I add glue without moving the globe background. It's finally time to fill my shaker globes, and I will fill them with distress rock candy glitter and mini gold stars. I put a few scoops of rock candy and a few shakes of gold stars in each globe frame and glue the gold globe windows on top. And I don't shake these shakers until I am sure that the glue has dried. I do the same procedure for the globe card, fill with glitter and gold stars and glue my globe window on top, and then I glue a wood grain globe base on top of the globe in the card panel. We have some work left on these projects, but let's give the bonus card some love. I have my panel with gold words, and I will use Distress Mica shimmer sprays to give this background color. I have Winterberry, Cocktail Party, Frosty Mint and Shiny Bauble. I spray with water first and then the mica stains from the lightest to the darkest, and at the end I tilt the panel so the colors can drip down my panel and give it almost a northern light look. While I let this panel air dry, I go back to my shakers and the glue has finally dried. I cut a small snowbank from glitter cardstock and glue it down at the bottom of my snow globe. Then I add the cute gnome sitting on the snowbank. I use the die for the base of my globes to cut into my leaves and poisonettas so they fit perfectly snug against my globe, and I glue them in place. I stamped and heat embossed the word Merry in gold on black, and I glue that word onto the globe frame. Then I glue the stacked word Christmas onto the base, bending it to get it to follow the curve of the base. Next I have that gold postage stamp, and I cut apart my die-cut greenery and glue them sticking out from behind the postage stamp circle. When I am happy with the greenery, I put foam squares behind my greenery postage stamp and glue it down in the upper right corner. I finish this card for now with holly leaves and berries tucked in next to the word Christmas. Next, I will add details to my snow globe ornaments, starting with this gorgeous Christmas dragon sitting on a glitter snowbank and another dragon hanging from the roof of my globe. I did lose some footage of me finishing these, but I will do my best to talk you through it. Look, I know this might be overkill, but since I wanted these to look good on the backside too, I backed all of my stamped greenery with black cardstock as well. Not only does it make it look more finished, but it also made the greenery sticking out more sturdy. I put the same heat embossed word Merry on the frame and the same stacked word Christmas on the base, and then I used pieces of die cut greenery to decorate 2 more postage stamps exactly like the one before and glue them on the right corner of the base. To make these ornament globes stand out from each other, I glued die-cut greenery instead of stamped images sticking out from this globe, and you know they are backed with black cardstock. And then I did lose footage, but it was the same procedure for this globe as it was for the previous, and now these snow globe ornaments and snow globe cards are almost finished. So, back to the now dry bonus card. I have a black card base and I want a gold frame, but I didn't want to waste the gold cardstock, so I cut out the middle that won't show from the gold panel and glue the gold frame on to the card base, leaving a thin black frame, and then I used double-sided tape to add the shimmering front panel. Next, I bring out Tim Holtz glitter cardstock in gold and cut a snowbank for this card, and I glue that in place. Off camera, I made another snow globe shaker, the same as before, and I glued down the base shape on the card with a snow globe background made with the same mica stains as I used on the card panel. Then I bring out gold confetti from This Calls for Confetti and add distressed rock candy glitter as well as the gold confetti before I glue the globe window frame in place. And then I add the wood grain base. As I said in the beginning, I colored many Christmas dragons and gnomes, and I add one dragon pulling Santa's sleigh along with a gnome holding a Christmas stocking and a dragon carrying the biggest Christmas present. I found this Simon Says stamp die on second hand, and I will only use the word Merry, not the sign behind. I stack 5 black words on each other and finish off with a gold Merry on top. I glue my dimensional word Merry in the upper left corner, and under it I add the gold embossed word Christmas. I also add one of my greenery postage stamps in the upper right corner. In the globe die set I find some snowflake dies, and I cut a whole bunch from white cardstock and add white snowflakes all over my panel and globe. The last thing I do on these snow globe ornaments and cards is to add glossy accents on the berries, the star at the top of the Christmas tree, the Christmas lights, bells and bows, and off camera I also gave the ornaments a little black bow at the top. And now, these Whimsy Stamps, mixed media, Christmas snow globe projects are finished. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I am so grateful for you. Until the next time, happy Christmas crafting.